What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we are doing another top 10 list for Top 10 Tuesday. So thank you guys for tuning in. If it's the first time watching the channel, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because we're trying to get to 20,000. Love for you to be a part of that journey. So go ahead and join the 9 to 5 crew. Also, don't forget that if you'd like to support the channel even further, there is going to be an opportunity to do that through memberships, which are as low as $1 a month, which is really, really cool. You get extra content, which I'm working on getting some more of that out. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a second video that's going to be going up for all of my members. That'll be going up today that you guys can all watch no matter what level you become a member at. So all that out of the way, I got the chance to play Slay the Spire. My friendly local game store had a copy of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a deck builder. I really want to try this. I like the video game, and I was like, dude, I gotta play this. I didn't get to play it at Dice Tower, and I was like, let me set it up and let me play. So I got a chance to play through it a few times today, and I was like, you know what? It's time to update our list on top 10 deck builders. And so let's go ahead and get started with this list. My number 10 is a tried and true classic, and it's really cool because it actually just announced that they're making a 2.0 edition of the game, as well as some extra expansions, and that is Marvel Legendary. If you guys have never played Marvel Legendary, it is fantastic deck builder. I think it's like one of the first deck builders that you can play cooperatively, which I love about it. I love a good cooperative deck builder and playing together with friends. And you can make it competitive, which I'm not really a fan of, but basically it's just your typical deck builder. You start off with a normal deck of cards that just have shield agents in it, but then slowly you start to buy cards from the market to build your deck, and you build it as you are playing through this line of enemies that are slowly making their way towards the city, and your job is to try to take them all out. Really great game, tons of expansions. They have supported this game for so many years. I still have the game. I've tried to sell it, but it was one of those games that not a ton of people buy, but I never understood that because I'm like, it's such a good game. I'm surprised so many people, either everybody has it or just not too many people are interested in it. But it's Marvel themed, it's great, and I know Legendary has a bunch of them. They've got Aliens and a bunch of other ones, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. All of their deck builders are really solid. So that would be my number 10. My number 9 is Star Wars the deck building game. Star Wars the deck building game is phenomenal. You can actually get this game at Target. It's very easy to find. It is a 2-player head-to-head deck building game, and it had some mechanics too, because there was this game that I played, the Power Ranger deck building game, and the Power Ranger deck building game, you could fight the cards in the row. So you didn't just have to buy cards. You're playing head-to-head against somebody, so there's cards in the middle that you want to buy, but then your opponent might buy them on their next turn. So it's there's cards that you, instead of buying them, you can attack them, and I thought that was a really cool concept. They put that into Star Wars, and so you are the Rebels versus the Empire, and the Empire attacks, and if you are saying to yourself, I can't stand Star Wars, I can't stand what they did to Star Wars, maybe you're one of those people, it's from the original trilogies. Everything in this game is original trilogies, and it also includes stuff from Rogue One, which is a phenomenal movie. I loved it. But yeah, this deck builder is so much fun. I love the ability to just attack cards so that your opponent can't get them, and then you gain rewards for doing that. You're damaging each other's home bases, and then after you destroy their base, they have 3 other bases that they can choose from, that you can, not that you choose from, but you choose them at the beginning of the game, and then you choose which base you want to activate, which has an ability on it. There's so much to this game that makes it stand out amongst other deck builders, and it's cheap, it's quick to play, really, really fun. One of my favorites. That's why it is my number 9. Moving on to my number 8. It's actually a newer game that I played, and it's got some other mechanics to it, but it does have deck building in it, which I like, and that is Aquatica. Man, the new expansion just came out, which I did not get a chance to play. I just played kind of the base game with one of the expansion. I forget which expansion I played with, but that game is really good. If you've never played Aquatica, Aquatica is a game you got to get your hands on, especially with the new expansion coming out. Definitely up there. But the way that it works is that it's got all these cards, and you are trying to use you get attack power and gold, and so you can use gold to buy cards and buy things, or you can use it to attack these cards that are in the center row, and then when you do that, you get to take those cards and you get to put them into your little kingdom, and you've got these 5 slots, and the cool part is that those cards slot up. and you're with an ability, you're allowed to move those cards up, and then once you get them all the way up into their reserve, you can take them out using another ability and treasure and put them like in your treasure box, and then later on score them for points. It's got these little manta rays that give you little abilities, and you flip them over. It's really, really cool. There's a lot going on in it, but it is simple to play, very easy to learn. I learned it super quick, and it was fun. I really liked Aquatica, and I won my first game, so that also helps. But it's so far, this has been one of my favorite deck builders, and I wish I had played it sooner because it would have made my list for sure. My number, what am I at? That was my number 8. So this is going to be my number 7. My number 7 is Great Western Trail. And there's so many different versions of this game, and at first I kind of forgot that it was a deck builder, and I had to redo this list because I had to add it in, which is kind of why I got a little confused there, because I was like, I forgot where I placed it. But Great Western Trail is a deck builder, and I totally forgot about that, because you build up your little deck of cards with different cattle, but if you play like the New Zealand, it's like sheep and different things like that. But you're building up your deck with different cattle, and then your job is to get the best cattle into your deck, and then you use those cattle to do different things, but also mainly what you want to do is make sure that your hand is full of like the highest grade cattle, like the best quality cattle, and then you take those to the train and then you send them off to, I forgot where you're sending them to, but it's such a good game, man. And just the mechanic of walking through these cities, and then you're able to buy these little towns that you can put out, and then when you know enemies go to those towns, or they have to skip over them, I think, and then when you go to them you get benefits and stuff or something. I haven't played the game in a while, but Great Western Trail is just phenomenal. I love it. I sold my copy of like the second edition I think I had of the game, because I want to buy I had the first edition of the game. I want to buy the second edition because I heard it has a solo mode, and I'm really excited to get my hands on that. But I've been contemplating which one I should get. Should I get like the New Zealand one? But I've seen a lot of videos saying which one to get, so I'll pick that one up when that time comes. But that's my number 7, Great Western Trail. My number 6 is a classic game that I really love, and again, you can get a new copy of this from Target. They just put in a new edition of it, and they're redoing the expansions with the new artwork from Vincent Dutrait. And if you don't know who that is, his artwork is beautiful. Quest for El Dorado. Quest for El Dorado is a really cool deck builder because it's a racing game, and your job is to get from point A to point B. You got to get to El Dorado. First one to get there is the winner. But the cool part is that in order to move through the different types of terrain, you have to play cards that match that terrain from your hand. And so on your turn, you draw 5 cards, and from those 5 cards, you can determine how many spaces you can move forward. But as you make your way through the map, the jungles get denser, so you need stronger cards to do that. So there's a whole market of cards that you can buy to add to your deck, so that once you get towards the end of the game, you're able to trek your way through some of the tougher terrain. And it's really, really fun game. You got to go through water and jungle and the deserts, and they give you coins, and you can buy stuff with the coins. Fantastic game. It's very easy to play, very easy to teach. It's almost gateway level. I would think that somebody who plays it should have played at least one deck builder before getting into it, but it's really not that complicated. I've taught it to people who don't play games at all, and they have loved it and wanted to play it again. But it's a great game. It's super affordable, and you can get it at Target, and it looks beautiful with the new Vincent Dutrait artwork, and old artwork is great too. I have the older one, and I'm pretty much satisfied with that. I love this game, Quest for El Dorado. My number 5 is an interesting game because within the deck building sphere, I never really properly defined what a deck builder is, but a deck builder is basically the mechanic is that you have like a basic deck of cards, and then you're going to buy new cards to build that deck while you play the game. Different from deck construction, where you're building up a deck of cards and then using that to battle. That's different. That's deck construction. But deck building also has different mechanics, because some people will make games instead of using cards, which you would shuffle and then draw cards, and then whatever you draw randomly is what you end up using. Some people actually use bags, and they call them bag builders, but they're very much like deck builders, because if you were to replace the bag with a deck of cards, it would essentially be the same game, but it just feels a lot cooler when you have the bag. And so my next one on my list, my number 6, is Orleans. Actually, it's number 5, sorry. My number 5 is Orleans. Orleans is amazing. Like, that's one of those games that's like hyped up, and I think it's in the G Top 100, and you're like, is it really that good? It is very good. In this game, instead of building up a deck of cards, you're building up a bag with like little chips inside of it, and you take these chips and you're putting them out as workers. And so each action you want to take requires a certain number of those chips, and every turn you're going to draw, like, I forgot how many it is, and then you lay them out, and then there's like an area control part of this game, but also you're playing these things to gain more workers and build up your bag and get a nice system going, and there's goals that you're working towards. Orleans is so good, and if you have not gotten a chance to play this game as soon as possible. Find a convention that you can go to and request the game if they have something like that, system like that. Request that game and play it. It is worth playing, and it is really, really fun. A little dry, a little tan, but for the most part, I really enjoy this game, and that's why it is my number 5. My number 4 is a game called Lost Ruins of Arnak. Should come as no surprise to anybody that this game is phenomenal, and that's why it made my top 4. Lost Ruins of Arnak is such an incredible game, and it is a deck builder worker placement. And so what you're doing is you're building up this deck of cards, and you're using those cards, the symbols on those cards, to take your character and worker place them in different places and gain rewards. You're fighting monsters. It's Indiana Jones kind of themed archaeology, and you're an archaeologist and you're studying different things. They have different tracks that you can go up to gain rewards. It's such a good game. And then on top of that, to make it even better, they added leaders into the game where now you have an asymmetric player. So you pick like an asymmetric board which has your own unique player power and different things that you can do. And they added even a campaign to this game that you can play a campaign mode of it with 2 new leader boards and stuff like that. This game is really good. Lost Ruins of Arnak is worth the hype. I know there are a lot of people who have played it and have said, it's not my cup of tea, but it is good, man. Don't let anybody deter you from ever buying a game. I never think that games are so bad that somebody else wouldn't like them. Like one of the games that I don't like Bad Company, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's a bad game. People love that game for a reason, because it's a good game. And so I think Arnak is fantastic, and it's worth the hype. A couple of years old now, but it's still being supported, and it's very, very good. And that's my number 4. My number 3 is going to be an interesting pick, and it is Slay the Spire. This game, which I have laid out in front of me, is so stinking good. And if it wasn't for the next 2 games on my list, this would be number 1, 1000%. I just need to play it more. This is more of like a preview kind of opinion, so take this with a grain of salt. But it's number 3 on my list because I just love Slay the Spire. I loved the video game, and this board game is so much fun. And so it reminds me a lot of like Marvel Legendary. It's a cooperative dungeon crawler, but at the same time, you're working your way through different scenarios, but these scenarios don't have any kind of story to them. It's just an encounter. And so enemy cards will pop up for everybody. You could play this with up to 4 people, and everybody has a deck of cards with powers that differ from everybody else. At the start of the game, everybody's just super basic, but has at least 1 or 2 cards that are different than the others. And man, the cool stuff that you can do, because what you do is every time you beat an enemy, you get to draw 3 cards off of your reward deck, which is literally this is the deck you have to start with. It's like that thin, right? This is the deck you start with. These are your rewards that you can choose from. So you would draw 3 cards from this deck blindly, and then there's, the rare ones that you can get. But you would draw 3 cards from that deck, and then you choose 1 from the 3 cards, add it into your deck, shuffle up, and get ready for the next encounter. And so then you start building up these decks and this deck of cards and making it good. You can cull cards out of the deck to make it quicker and faster, and so that you can get those better cards more frequently. And the villains are great. The amount of damage you do, everything just feels well balanced. And this game is meant for you to lose. It's roguelike. That's the number one thing that I think people wouldn't like about it, is that you're meant to lose. You're not meant to ace this on your first try. You're going to play through the first act. You may lose, but if you do, you start from the beginning over again. Okay? That's the type of game it is. But it has a save your progress feature. So if you beat Act 1 and you want to go to Act 2, you can save your game, shuffle up, get ready on the next time you guys want to play it, leave it set up, whatever, and then play through Act 2. And then you keep working your way through this giant tower that you're working through. Dude, this game is great. I absolutely love this game already, and I need to play it more, but it is my top 3 for sure of deck builder games that I have ever played. This just hits all the right buttons for me, and I love it. It's a great game. definitely worth the hype. I think on BGG it's like an 8.8 currently at the time of the filming of this video. But with that said, that is my number 3. That is Slay the Spire. My number 2 is a game that I have absolutely loved, and it just continues to get higher and higher ratings from me because it is a game that I love. And one of the things I love about it is that my player group loves it. I don't like when I like a game but nobody else in my group really enjoys it, because then I'm the only one who wants to play it and then it just feels like a burden. But I know a lot of people who really enjoy this game, and I know there's a consistent group that I can play this with, and that is Moonrakers from Ivy Studios. Moonrakers is amazing. It is a deck builder, but it is a contract fulfillment game. So on your turn, there's a bunch of contracts that you can try to fulfill with the cards in your hand, and it plays a lot like Dominion. You can only play one card from your hand, but some of those cards give you extra actions, which allow you to play other cards from your hand. So when you play a card, whatever symbol you play, if it happens to be a requirement in the contract you're trying to fulfill, so if there's a lightning bolt symbol on the contract and you play a lightning bolt card, then you basically will fulfill that part of the contract. But a lot of these contracts are difficult and you can't do them alone. So what you have to do is you have to cooperate with the other players that are around you and split up the rewards. So like if you do it solo, you get everything. If you do it with another player, you have to divvy up the rewards beforehand. And it's really cool because like towards the end of the game, it starts getting a little bit more difficult to cooperate with one another, and you're really scrounging for 10 points because that's how you win. You only need to get 10 points. Dude, it's so much fun. I love Moonrakers. I love the negotiation. I love the treachery and the backstabbing and all the craziness that happens while you're playing this game. And it's just a race to who can get to 10 points first while you're building up this deck of cards with new awesome abilities that let you do different things. It's so much fun. And then you've also got a ship that you're upgrading with different parts that let you do different things and give you discounts and stuff. It's awesome. And the production quality is great. Metal coins and everything. It's chef's kiss. I love Moonrakers. Number 2, Moonrakers. And my number 1 should come as no surprise to anybody because it's just that stinking good. Dune Imperium. And also there's a brand new version of it that came out, which is Dune Imperium Uprising. Not to mention that there is a brand new expansion coming out for this game, Dune Imperium, was it Bloodlines, I believe? So yeah, this game is phenomenal. Dune Imperium is great. I love this game. It is a classic. It's a deck building worker placement, but the thing I love is how tight this game is. Like, there is very little room for error. I think that one of the biggest things against the game is that a lot of people always put in the comments, and it's something that I kind of agree with because it happens to me a couple of times, but I think some of the expansions help balance that out, and it's those intrigue cards. Sometimes those intrigue cards, you'll be getting a whole bunch of those, and every time you get one, it's like, it does nothing. And then when your opponent gets one, it's like, oh, look, I get a victory point. It's like, oh my gosh, like you only need 10 points to win the game. And sometimes people just get really lucky with those intrigue cards, man. And sometimes you don't. And that's what the intrigue deck is all about. It's about a little bit of swinginess and a little bit of randomness that it adds, a little chaos to the game. So that's what it's there for. But it's not by any means an instant win mechanic, but it's pretty interesting, and I think a lot of people dislike it. Some people like it. I don't mind it. Sometimes it's worked in my favor, sometimes it hasn't. It is what it is, but I love Dune Imperium because I just love how tight the game is. I love how strategic it is. I like the amount of thinkiness you have to have. I love how you build your deck, because some people go, man, it's just like, I feel like I'm not able to do anything. I'm like, well, the whole game you didn't build any cards that are going to let you go to different spots. You only focused on that one spot, and now that you gained that spot and you got the victory point for it, you didn't try to build in any other areas, and now you're kind of lagging behind. So it's one of those games where it's like you got to kind of try to do a little bit of everything, but there's still enough like strategy where you could definitely go one route and still win, depending on combat and different things like that. It's got combat, which is awesome, and even though it's just a bunch of little cubes, it's great. But I love Dune Imperium, man. I think it's going to be very hard for this game to be topped. Slay the Spire is getting there, and Moonrakers is getting there, but I just don't think those games will ever top a good game of Dune Imperium for me. Like, I will play that game just about any time somebody wants to play it, but Dune Imperium, definitely one of my favorites. That's why it's my number 1 deck building game of all time. But I haven't played every deck building game, so why don't you let me know in the comments section, what are your favorite deck building games that maybe I didn't mention in this list? I want to be able to take them in. I want to be able to play them and get to know them. I know I've got a few deck builders on my shelf, that I haven't played yet, and maybe they're really, really good. And I also have a list of 10 other ones that I have here on my list. So maybe a game that you were looking for didn't make this list, but maybe it made my other list. Go ahead and check that out by becoming a member and checking out that second video that's going to go up later this week. And pay attention for the Slay the Spire review, which is coming out soon, and I'll give you my official score on this game and what it's going to be for me after I get a couple more plays of it. We'll do that review. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Love you guys. Have a good one. Peace out.